Hi there, friends. I'm meteorologist Jeff Hanowich. It's about 10 o'clock here on this Thursday. Hope everybody had a great day. It was a very nice day. Wow, we had sunshine, we had warmth. What a beautiful day it was. However, we have issued a weather authority alert day for tomorrow. You need to know that tonight is quiet, really tomorrow morning is quiet. Clouds are then going to really thicken in earnest by around lunchtime tomorrow, and then after about 2-3 o'clock tomorrow, that's when we're going to start to see the advent of some rain pushing into the region, and then by dinner time into the at least part of the evening hours, we're going to have the threat for some thunderstorms as well. All right, so let's talk about these alert day impacts. Severe thunderstorms, yeah, there is a possibility of that as we head into tomorrow late day into tomorrow evening. We'll talk about which zone has the best chance here in a minute. Wind is certainly going to increase for us, and that could produce the potential for some power outages because we could have some downed trees. We're going to have to keep an eye on the potential for some localized flooding. I'm going to tell you one thing about this storm system tomorrow, and that is it's not going to have as much rain as the one on Tuesday. We saw 1 to 4 inches of rain on Tuesday. I think we're going to see about a ½ inch to 1.5 inches of rain as we head into tomorrow. And then on the backside of the storm system, yes, it looks like we'll even have the chance for some upslope snow showers late tomorrow night into the first part of the day Saturday. All right, so we do have a flood watch in effect for these areas shaded in green. This is basically for areas right along and to the east of Interstate 81. Our border counties with West Virginia not under this flood watch. Those are the areas, Highland County south into Bland and Wythe counties, that probably won't see as much rain as everybody else. Simply put, I'm expecting to see a little more rain east and a little less rain out to the west. As far as the satellite and radar composite, we do have some snow up to the north of us. However, to the west in the corner of your television screen, you'll notice that we do indeed have some rain and snow. That's our next weather maker. It still has a ways to go before it gets here, but it's going to be a fairly fast mover, which means it's going to arrive here fairly quickly and it's going to get through the region fairly quickly. So that's why I'm thinking the worst weather for us tomorrow will be between about 3 p.m. and about 11 p.m. We're going to have about a 6 to 9 hour window for some kind of nasty weather across the region. All right, friends, let's time it all out for you. And it looks like by about 3-4 o'clock, precipitation is going to be overspreading the region, okay, from southwest to northeast. Notice one thing here towards the highlands. It could start as a brief wintry mix for you folks in Highland and Bath counties. You may have a little bit of snow, maybe a little bit of sleet, maybe even a little bit of freezing rain. But outside those areas north of Interstate 64, this is all rain. As a matter of fact, throughout the course of this graphic, I want you to pay attention to temperatures in Danville and South Boston. Notice at 4 p.m., they're about 50 to 52 degrees. Let's fast forward. By the time we look at 6, there's not much of a temperature change. Temperatures stay fairly stationary in Danville, 53 in South Boston, so the temperature in South Boston may have increased a little bit. Notice also that the rain is still overspreading the region at dinner time tomorrow. 6 p.m. is going to be very wet tomorrow. Aha, look what happens to those temperatures as we get closer to 8 p.m. Temperatures climb into the upper 50s and lower 60s out across Danville and South Boston. Keep in mind, when we talk about the chance for thunderstorms, the warmer you are, the more unstable you are. So as temperatures start to go up Friday evening in South Side, that's when the instability could start to go up too, okay? So we're going to all have the chance for rain tomorrow. Heavier downpours are certainly possible too, especially in areas along and east of the Parkway. But the zone that has the best chance for thunderstorms, the zone that has the best chance for strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow will be South Side because you're going to be warmer than everybody else. Temperatures then will start to decrease as we head into, say, the latter part of Friday night as this precipitation pulls away. So again, our best chance for rain tomorrow will be between about 2 p.m. and about 10 p.m., maybe 3 p.m. to about 11 p.m. So again, you're going to start to see some rain pushing in during the early afternoon hours. Most of the rain is out of here by mid to late evening on Friday. Again, about a 6 to 9 hour window where we're going to see the chance for some pretty nasty weather, especially east. West, the weather's not going to be as nasty. Further east, the weather's going to be a little nastier because we're going to have a little more wind energy in areas to the east of the Parkway. Now, as far as what we're looking at here, as far as the storm threats on Friday, the flood risk, level 1. Localized flooding is possible in some areas. This does not look as though it's going to be a time frame for us tomorrow where every single community in the viewing area is going to have a flood warning. If you remember, harken back to Tuesday, there was at one point in time as those cells were pushing through here, that virtually every county in our area had a flood warning of some sort, okay? I don't think that's going to be the case with this, but I do have a concern about the potential for some localized flooding because there will be some bouts of heavy rain and the ground is saturated. The rain really doesn't have a whole lot of places to go in some of our backyards. So again, because of the swollen creeks, streams, and rivers, because of the fact that the ground is saturated, we're going to need to potentially look out for the threat for some localized flooding. In addition to that, we're going to have to keep an eye on the chance for some isolated thunderstorms that do develop east of the Parkway. Again, the zone that I think has the best chance for some strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow late day into tomorrow evening will be south side. Notice this green color, that's a level 1 risk for severe weather. Level 2 risk for areas in yellow. That includes Danville, South Boston, and also Keysville. Southern portions of Pittsylvania, Halifax, and Charlotte counties. Those are the areas that are in a level 2 risk or a slight risk for severe weather heading into tomorrow. Of course, these risks, these outlooks could change here as we go into tonight, as we go into later tonight. So I urge you to keep it tuned here to your local weather authority. Marshall is going to be in Friday morning, and then Chris is actually going to be working tomorrow evening alongside me, just in case stuff gets a little nasty around here. Now, as far as the wind above us, you'll notice that where you see this red and white color, that's where we're going to have the highest winds aloft. And we're not talking even that high up. Okay, we're talking about the air moving about 50 to 90 miles per hour just above the surface, especially towards south side. So some of these stronger thunderstorms could actually drag down some of that wind that is just above the surface. So you need to know that even if we don't have any tornado warnings issued from the National Weather Service office tomorrow, we could certainly have some reports of some straight line wind damage in any thunderstorm that forms, because storms tend to drag some energy down from up in the atmosphere. So that could bring some of that wind energy down to the surface. So, you know, we are looking at the threat for a couple of storms that potentially could, you know, down trees because of gusts 50, 60, 65 miles per hour. That is a possibility for us here late tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening, especially again in areas east. As far as temperatures are concerned right now here at 10:06, you're in the upper 20s in Wytheville, also in the upper 20s in Martinsville, a little warmer towards Lynchburg at 44, a little cooler in Danville and South Boston where you're at 33. It's 34 right now in Lexington. All right, today was nice. Today was warm. That all changes next week. That all changes for us next week. Guess what is pushing to the south next week? Yes, the polar vortex. The polar vortex is a large area of cold that typically lives near the poles. What's going to happen is this jet stream is going to be wobbling, and what it's going to do is take a dip to the south, and as that jet stream takes a dip to the south, this is going to allow for cold air to also spill to the south. As that jet stream kind of wobbles to the south, it's going to grab the cold air and bring it down with it, such that high temperatures as we head into much of next week are only going to be in the 20s and 30s. Okay, it's going to be the coldest air of the season, no doubt. Now, as far as what the polar vortex is and what it isn't, so let's go over some myths as to what the polar vortex is. It is not a new thing. We've known about the polar vortex for hundreds of years. It's not going to quote unquote hit you. It's just cold air that's going to come down from the poles, and it's not always going to be snowy, okay? It's going to always be cold, but sometimes when a polar vortex comes down to the south, it's bone dry air that allows it to push to the south. What it is, it's semi-permanent, which means it will last a little while, but it's not going to last that long. It's not going to last forever. And it is coming from the Arctic, hence the name polar vortex, and it is certainly a source of cold. So it is something that lasts a little while, doesn't last, you know, for more than probably a week at a time. It is coming from the Arctic, and it's a source of cold. It is not a source of moisture. That being said, let's talk about this blast of cold air that is indeed headed our way here as we head into next week. Again, the polar vortex dips to the south. That means for us, temperatures are going to be in the 20s and 30s for much of next week, with lows likely in the teens. You're probably watching that. There is the chance for some snow as we head into Monday night and Tuesday. If you have been following the computer models at all for the last couple of days, this is not news to you, okay? Some computer models are bringing in some snow for us on Tuesday. However, the cold air is going to be here. No doubt about it. It is going to be frigid on Tuesday. But is the moisture going to be here on Tuesday? That's the million-dollar question. Let me show you two scenarios. All right. So the computer models, as you would expect, are not in agreement. They very rarely are this far out. So let's talk about these two different scenarios. We're going to have, obviously, the moisture source coming from the south, and we're going to have another system coming from the north. If those two storm systems don't phase or come together, then we don't see a whole lot of precipitation here. If these two systems do not phase or come together Monday night into Tuesday, a lot of the moisture stays to the east of us. So while we'd be very, very cold on Tuesday, we would not have the moisture for us to see a whole lot of precipitation. That precipitation would stay to the east. However, if the north and south system phase or come together, then that means for us inches of snow headed our way. Okay, that would allow for not only moisture to be offshore, but it would allow for more moisture to push inland too, because it would become a stronger storm system. A stronger storm system would mean snow for us. A weaker storm system would mean not much precipitation at all for us. So those are the kind of two scenarios we're looking at right now. I can tell you that the system tomorrow is going to be mainly rain, almost all rain, with the exception of maybe it's starting briefly as a wintry mix up, say, towards Highland and Bath counties. Otherwise, tomorrow, it's rain. The weekend's going to be windy. So we look at Monday night into Tuesday, that's where these computer model disparities come into play. There's not a lot of agreement with it. The European model is actually not calling for snow. The American model is. And that was the complete opposite yesterday. So we're going to have to play the waiting game and see what happens. It's a long ways away, but I do want to put this on your radar, pun intended, that we are watching indeed a storm system early next week. The cold air is here, but will there be moisture? Too early to tell. So, which reminds me to tell you that we're kind of due for snow, aren't we? It's been 725 days in Roanoke since we've last seen a 1-inch snowfall. The last time we saw 1 inch or more of snow in Roanoke was January the 16th of 2022. A long, long time ago. So your forecast for tonight, clouds are going to thicken a wee bit. Overnight lows tonight will fall into the upper 20s and lower 30s for the most part. For the day tomorrow, we've got that weather alert day. Just know the first half of the day, we're fine. First half of the day tomorrow actually may start with some sunshine, okay? But as we go, say, towards lunchtime, clouds thicken. Then after about 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock, we're going to start to see that rain pushing in. By 4, 5, 6 o'clock, it's going to be very wet. High temperatures tomorrow are in the 40s and 50s. South side may get close to 60 tomorrow evening. Your extended forecast showing temperatures going down into the low to mid 40s Saturday and Sunday, upper 30s and lower 40s on Monday, lower 30s for a high on Tuesday. Then we're back up to 37 by Thursday. So overall, the heart of this cold Arctic air comes into play for us here Monday night through the rest of the week. The warmest we may get next week might be what we get on Monday, and that's only 41 degrees. We may stay in the 20s and 30s for the rest of the week after Monday. Current time is 10:12, and joining me is my good friend Allie. Allie, are there any questions I can answer tonight, my friend? Sure. Yes, absolutely. The rain is going to start between 2 and 4. It's going to exit between 9 and 11. So that's your timing of the rain for tomorrow. It starts in the early to mid-afternoon hours, and it gets out of here in the mid to late evening hours. Anything else, Allie? Okay, yes. Yeah, well, again, there's questions about snow. I will again show you that the cold air is going to be here. You've heard lots of media outlets, national media outlets, now local media outlets, talking about this thing called the polar vortex. Yes, the polar vortex is going to dip to the south, and as it does, it's going to be a player in our weather. That's why we're probably not getting out of the 20s and 30s from Tuesday on next week. But the question becomes, are we going to get moisture to meet up with that polar vortex? One computer model, or some computer models, say yes. Others say no, okay? It all depends on if we can get two different little pieces of energy to come together, one to the north and one to the south. If they come together and form one low pressure system, we get snow. If they stay separated, we don't, okay? So that is something we're gonna have to figure out here over the course of the next 2 to 3 days. I always say, let's take one storm at a time. Our focus right now is certainly on tomorrow more than Tuesday at this point, because Tuesday's pretty far off into the future, and tomorrow could be a bit of an active weather day for us. That being said, we've looked at Monday night into Tuesday a whole lot, and right now there are little to no agreements with the computer models as to what could potentially happen. Hopefully they come into better agreement as the time draws near, but if they don't, that's where our intuition will come into play. But it's too early to speculate right now how much snow we're going to see. I think the best way to phrase it is snow is possible for us on Tuesday. The cold air is here, but will the moisture be? That's the million-dollar question. Anything else, Allie? Harrisonburg. Harrisonburg has a lower chance to see severe weather tomorrow than say Danville and South Boston. You know, the mountains tomorrow probably won't have the type of weather that areas further east will see. Like for instance, if you look at this flood watch that's in effect for tomorrow, the flood watch does not include our westernmost areas, okay? The National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center are kind of thinking the same thing in that Highland County, south into Bland and Wythe counties, these areas not highlighted in green, they're probably not going to see as much rain as areas within this flood watch, and that is for basically areas along and to the east of Interstate 81. Anything else, Allie? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say NRV will see anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to about 1/2 an inch of rain, maybe 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain. I think the NRV rainfall totals aren't going to be as high as they will be a little further east. So I would say NRV 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain. As you head further east, that's where we could see 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches of rain. For the most part, we're looking at about 1/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches of rain across the viewing area. Those amounts will be a little less west, and those amounts will be a little more to the east. Anything else, Allie? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The winds are going to strengthen. The winds are going to strengthen in any storm that does develop tomorrow. The winds are probably going to start out rather calm on Friday. And then as the day goes on, as the storm system gets closer, the winds are going to increase. And then the winds are going to stay elevated for us here Friday night, Saturday night into Sunday. We are looking at sustained winds about 15 to 25 miles per hour on both Saturday and on Sunday, with gusts up to about 30 to 50 miles per hour, especially on Saturday. I think Saturday's winds are going to be something else. It would not at all surprise me if the National Weather Service issues a wind advisory, at least for some of us, as we head either into Friday night or Saturday. Wind advisory criteria is certainly possible for us, as behind the storm system tomorrow, the winds are going to be something else. It's going to be very windy here, off and on for most of the weekend. Good question. Anything else, Allie? Perfect. Current time is 10:17. We'll be back here in a little bit more than 40 minutes from now with our 11 o'clock newscast. We do hope to see you then, but if we don't, I hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you again real soon for another